everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Yahua. I'm doing a PhD at the University of Melbourne. Today's video, I would like to answer your questions in some specific area in terms of my experience of doing a PhD, studying and living overseas, and also my future plans. Without further ado, let's dive into the questions. The first questions this lovely audience is asking about if I have any anxiety in academia and how I balance work and life. I don't feel really anxious about academia in general. It's probably because I am still in the first year of PhD, and then this is still a honeymoon period, so that I don't feel a lot of pressures that coming to me. But if you ask me the same questions next year or the year after, when I'm approaching to the end of the PhD, I might be anxious because I need to find a job, but I do have some short-term anxiety when the deadline is coming. One way to address this is telling myself to stop worrying anything, because you wouldn't know how the future is and what's the point of worrying too much. In terms of work-life balance, I think setting the boundary between work and life should help, because I don't want to let my work time to occupy the time that I'm supposed to do something relaxing. And my own philosophy is that I know work is important, but what's more important is my own physical and mental health. I always keep that in mind and then make sure that I can spare some time to do something for recreation. So I think for me, work-life balance is not a big problem, but the problem is that how I can manage my time and my energy more efficiently. So the next question, the shifting mindset from master to a PhD degree. I think doing a master degree was like navigating between different courses. What you need to do is to follow the instruction and complete all the coursework assignments, and then you are done. But doing a PhD is more like doing a job, the kind of job that you are your own boss, and it's very focused on a specific area of research. And also doing a PhD is like a lonely journey, because you are the one that be responsible for your own research. And sometimes you feel like you are the nerd because other people outside of your discipline, they may not understand why you think this kind of thing is important and what's the point of researching then. So for me, doing a PhD is really like doing a job, the kind of job that is time consuming, requires a lot of hard work, and is underpaid. Yes, but so far I like it. In relation to that, someone also asked if I met any difficulty in doing a PhD so far. I think the biggest challenge for me is to face with those criticisms, whether it is coming from internal or external forces. For example, I need to face with the criticisms from my supervisors. They're the one that check my writings first and then gave me feedbacks. And also the criticisms from other scholars as well when you are gonna publish a journal article. I also have this kind of imposter syndrome sometimes, which means that I keep doubting myself why I don't understand this theory, why I feel stuck in my own writing. Is that because I'm not good enough? But I'm also mindful that imposter syndrome is quite dangerous. One way to handle this problem is to tell myself every single day that I am fabulous. Let's repeat this once again. I am fabulous. Okay, next question. This fabulous human being asked me about my outfit ideas and style. Interesting, I didn't expect someone would ask me these questions. I don't know if you can tell that I am a basic bitch. I just wear whatever feels comfortable, that is a t-shirt and leggings for the most of the time during a week. But I also wear whatever makes me feel pretty and stylish, like a hot girl shit. Yeah, like whatever makes me feel fabulous and become a fabulous human being. That's my style, yes. Okay, let's turn to the next questions about Australia's language environment and whether I need to talk to native speakers on a daily basis. This is also very interesting because people usually have this impression of living in Australia that you don't have to speak English, because Australia has a large portion of Chinese migrants here. So as a Chinese, we sometimes don't have to speak English that we can survive in this country. But for me, I still need to speak English quite often because I need to communicate with my friends from other nations and also my local Australian friends, and also to use English at a professional level. So these questions about Australia's language environment, I think, is really depends on the kind of social circle that you're in and also the kind of program and the job that you can get. For example, if you would like to push yourself out of your comfort zone and to make a bunch of friends from diverse cultural backgrounds, of course you're exposed to multiple languages. The next question is related to loneliness. I think for anyone who is moving to a new place, whether it is in your home country or is in a foreign country, there will be a transitioning period of time that you will feel lonely. For me, like the first year when I came to Melbourne, it was like pretty lonely and boring because my life was basically surrounded by universities, library, and also supermarket. That's it. I don't have any life at all. But then the second year I felt better because I have made some friends and I also felt my English wasn't that sucked as the first year. So the suggestion here is to make more friends, be open-minded, and then be socially active so that if you can find someone to hang out with, then you wouldn't feel that lonely. But I think it's also important to enjoy loneliness as well because thanks to loneliness that I can have more time in developing myself. It is not lonely at all, but it's more like the time that I spend with myself and to think about life. So being alone doesn't mean that you are lonely, just to find something that you enjoy doing. In relation to this, another audience asked if I miss home. The answer is yes, I do miss home always, but I also have this weird feeling that the longer the distance that I have with my parents, the closer the relationship is. I don't know if that makes sense and I don't know if you can relate to this, but for me personally, even though I'm physically far away from my family, I feel that I can share whatever I want with them, and I also talk to my parents constantly. So it's not like, say, when I was in high school, I just want to keep everything as secret as possible. Yeah, like the distance makes closer relationship interesting. I do miss home, but this feeling is more like, for example, I have a sudden craving for a particular kind of food that is hard to find in Australia, or someday that I have a random dream. I was walking on the street in my hometown, and then after I woke up and I found myself it's actually in Australia. So this kind of random thing that can spark my emotion of missing home. Okay, next one. Any advice to overseas students and any regrets? So I would suggest that to step out of your comfort zone and try something new, and then you will find a brand new world. And also, don't give yourself too many excuses of not doing a thing because you wouldn't know how the future is if you don't make a step. Also, don't give up on the things that you enjoy doing. For me, that is singing. You know, academia has already hindered the development of my music career. I'm kidding, but not kidding. Anyways, if you would like to watch me singing, let me know in the comments and then I will cover more music related stuff in my future vlogs. Okay, because we touched on career, now let's have a real career talk. It seems that a lot of you are curious to know about my future plans. Let me tell you a story. I know a lot of you may know that I got a scholarship and got the offer from Melbourne Uni. But what you didn't know is that before I applied for Melbourne Uni, I was actually considering to go back to China and apply for a PhD there. I had that kind of thinking back then was because I wasn't confident about myself. I wasn't sure that I would be able to get a scholarship here in Australia. I thought that was because first, I'm an international student, and second, I'm doing an arts degree. So to get a spot to do a PhD here and also to get a scholarship is just extremely hard. But the lesson is a plan can never catch up with the change. So if you don't give it a go, how you will know that you can't do it? So I think instead of making a fixed plan, being flexible and then embrace the uncertainty is more important, like especially with the pandemic. Actually, I don't have a lot of tangible plans, but I do have some small goals and skills that I want to achieve. For example, to graduate on time, gain more experience in teaching, and to publish more articles, etc., etc. So I think I kind of become the kind of person who would focus on the present and to take like one step at a time and to grasp whatever opportunities that come to me. So I think I just want to become the kind of person who who is brave enough to embrace all the uncertainty in the future. Alright, that's all for today's video. Thank you very much for sending through the questions. I do enjoy answering all these questions. Because of the length of this video, I cannot cover everything, but I hope to answer the rest of the questions in my future videos. I hope you enjoyed today's content, and don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!